Becoming a health debugger was never on my list of things to do in life. I was raised to think that if you have a medical problem, you go to practitioners and they figure it out for you. When conventional and alternative medicine failed to help with our health issues, I realized that I had to become the debugger. I started trying out strategies for figuring things out on my own, in my own home, on my own family, on my own time. For example, what will help with the common cold I just picked up? Why do I have a skin rash? How can I get rid of my diarrhea? What will help with my child's autism? And what can help me recover after dental surgery? The list of uses goes on. Sometimes, like in the case of a cold, the symptoms will change as the cold progresses. So sometimes the solution needs to change. I found that not every flu virus is the same, and no one solution works well for all colds. I use my debugging skills daily, weekly, in the middle of the night, and whenever I need them. I have tried lots of different techniques over the years to figure out our health issues. I have come up with several that clinically have given our family impressive results. We have come up with a new phimosis treatment that has amazed the 2 urologists who know our case. Several practitioners, these urologists included, have told us that they have learned more from us than we have from them. A few have suggested that we publish our information. Others have recommended that we become practitioners. But we love being scientists and engineers. Suffice it to say that our home debugging has led us to some novel solutions, interesting conclusions, and amazing clinical results. So, how do I debug health issues? The first thing I do is guess. Guess? All this and my secret is guessing? Yes, guessing. I guess the solution to the health problem. I may not know the problem, but I often have several ideas or theories about what the problem could be. After coming up with theories for the problem, I guess solutions, and then I test those solutions. Sometimes I'm right, and sometimes I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I keep brainstorming theories and solutions. I keep testing, and I don't give up. If I am right, I often retest the solution in a few days or test other solutions that might help with the problem in later stages. How do I develop these theories? Sometimes I search for background information and any studies that might exist. I've spent so much time debugging issues that often I have several theories right off the bat. For example, tummy aches could be bacterial dysbiosis in the GI tract, a stomach flu, a Lyme disease flare-up, or an emotional issue. Depending on the person and how well I know what is going on for them, I might be able to narrow down the possibilities. As another example, bad moods could be allergies, a detox problem, or an emotional issue. There are also some mysterious illnesses like arthritis, adrenal fatigue, and eye pain that can be less obvious to debug. For those, my experience with dental infections, parasites, and heavy metal toxicity sometimes come in handy. Sometimes I look at the tooth meridian chart. It's often remarkably useful for debugging the more mysterious cases. I have a list of various symptoms and illnesses in the debugging section of the website debugyourhealth.com. This gives some specific ideas of where I might start. The next step is to find some solutions to the problem consistent with my theories. So for the stomach flu theory, I would get out the Florastor probiotic. For bacterial dysbiosis, I pull out the grapefruit seed extract, berberine, caprylic acid, and some probiotics. For a Lyme flare-up, I'll get out various Lyme herbs and medications. For a detox problem, I'll get out some activated charcoal or toxin absorb max or one of the homeopathic drainage remedies. For allergies, I might test some recently eaten food items or a sample of a blooming tree or cut grass that we might have in our front yard. Whatever I can think of that might be either a solution to or a cause of one of the theories, I will pull it out and put it on the table for testing. The next step is testing these solutions to try to figure out the problem. The most helpful testing method I have found is a form of applied kinesiology and neural emotional testing, or technique, or NET. These are also commonly called muscle testing or energy testing. Are applied kinesiology and NET controversial? Absolutely. There is lots of information out there saying that they are no better than random guessing. There are also some convincing studies for their use. As an engineering PhD from MIT, how can I be using something that is not fully, scientifically, double-blind study backed? One thing I have learned in my PhD program is how much I actually don't know, even about the engineering field for which I am trained. After years of time and thousands of dollars spent on practitioners, I have also realized how much humanity doesn't know about our own bodies and how they work. When you are in a position like me, where all Western and Eastern practitioners and therapies have failed you, you start to consider and try things that aren't fully understood. My husband, also a PhD in engineering, was extremely skeptical when I started trying out various debugging strategies at home. My argument went along the lines of, would you rather have me randomly guess what is causing our child's stomach ache, or should I make an educated guess? He agreed that an educated guess seemed better than a random guess. Fast forward many months, and he realized how quickly and easily I was able to figure things out, and that more often than not, what was testing well on us at home actually worked. Fast forward again to his phimosis treatment, and my debugging skills saved him from a painful surgery. He had diarrhea following the phimosis treatment, went on 2 practitioner visits which didn't help, and finally asked me to debug it. Within a few hours, his diarrhea was gone. Let's just say he's become a firm believer. He has also watched me debug successfully on our children, pulling them out of autism, Herxheimer reactions, chelation reactions, tummy aches, skin issues, bad moods, common colds, and guiding their parasite and Lyme disease treatments. I may not be able to fully scientifically explain how our bodies work, but I can say that clinically we have seen great success with our debugging techniques. So, how exactly do I test my guesses? If I am debugging a specific area like a skin rash, then I will have the person hold that area of the skin with one hand. Then I test their baseline strength by trying to pull their fingers apart. Usually I like to start with the thumb and the ring finger held together like this. If I can't pull the fingers apart at all, then I will switch to the thumb and the pinky finger. The pinky finger is usually weaker and easier to pull apart. I am looking for a baseline where I can pull the fingers apart, and then I compare that with how easy it is to pull the fingers apart holding some of the solutions that I have collected. Are the fingers harder or easier to pull apart? If the fingers are harder to pull apart, then that indicates that the solution might help that person or area of the body. The solution where the fingers are the hardest to pull apart might be the best one. Any items where the fingers are significantly easier to pull apart than the baseline indicate that item might actually be causing the problem. Like, for example, holding a dairy product on a skin rash with fingers testing weaker might indicate that the dairy is part of the problem that is causing the skin rash. Some people like to muscle test by pushing down on an outstretched arm like this. I find experimentally that I can feel more of a difference by pulling fingers apart than I can from pushing down on an arm. The one exception to this is the emotional clearing, and for that I prefer pushing the arm down. I go through the pile of solutions and test for which solutions are the strongest. The strongest ones I often retest at the end just to get a more accurate ordering of which one is actually the strongest. Whatever solution is testing the strongest helps verify my theory of what was wrong in the first place. Sometimes I may have other ideas of what might work for that particular problem, so I will take a break, pull out more solutions, and come back and test some more. There are times when I can't figure out the problem, times where nothing is testing stronger or weaker. If I don't have any new theories about what the issue could be, then I will take a break, sleep on it, and see if I have any new ideas after a good night's sleep. If not, I go back to the drawing board and research some more. A good example of this is the phimosis treatment, where I thought initially it was a fungal infection, but none of the fungal solutions were testing well. So I found a study that had linked phimosis to a bacterial infection of Borrelia. Sure enough, solutions for Borrelia tested strong, and we were able to resolve the phimosis. If there is no specific area of the body that I'm trying to debug, then I just test the strength of the fingers while the person holds the solution in the other hand, without holding the solution up to a specific body part. This can be tricky because the solutions will only test well on the top 1 or 2 body stressors. This may or may not be what the person is actually complaining about. The top stressor might also be just a symptom and not the root cause of the problem. For example, the person may have diarrhea, which could be a yeast flare-up, and they may test strong on solutions for yeast. The yeast flare-up might have as its root cause heavy metal toxicity or a parasitic infection, or some other gastrointestinal bacterial imbalance. These may not be testing well. They may not be testing well on solutions for these issues because the yeast has taken over as the primary stressor to the body. Often I think of peeling an onion. Sometimes I have to peel back several symptoms first before I finally get down to the root cause of the problem. Once I have found a solution for the problem, sometimes I try to figure out a specific treatment plan. For example, if a capsule pill is working the best, I will often try to figure out the correct dosing, also by muscle testing. I usually start with 1 to 2 pills held in the hand or in a bowl and increase the number of pills until the fingers are easy to pull apart. If it is a drainage remedy, I might test the optimal number of drops by increasing the number of drops in the bowl until the fingers become weak. If ozone is testing well, I might test how long the ozone needs to be applied. The topic-specific example videos will hopefully make this all clearer. I have found that I get the most consistent testing when I test with 2 people. One is the subject and one is the tester. The tester's job is to get a sense of what solutions cause the finger hold to be stronger or weaker. Feeling what is stronger or weaker often takes some practice, both for the person being tested and for the tester. I am strongly biased towards a 2-person testing system. I even convinced my skeptical neighbor once to come help me test one of my children. That neighbor has seen our quick resolution of issues, and she now often asks if I can help her test some issues. People may be completely skeptical, but testing is free, easy, and doesn't take much time. Worst case, you have spent some quality time with a family member or friend, and who knows, you might actually find a great solution. If I absolutely can't find anyone to help me with testing, then I do self-test. There are several strategies out there, but the one that I have found most useful is the forward and backward test. So the way I do this is I sit in the middle in a neutral position, and then I look and see if I fall forward or backward. And for me, if I say yes or strong, something that my body feels strong with or says yes to, if I just sit in a neutral position and say yes and think about yes and relax, I tend to fall in the backwards direction. So for me, whether I'm standing or sitting, backwards direction tends to be a strong or a yes answer. So what I do is I hold the solution. In this case, I've got some Ecological Formulas vitamin C. I'm currently taking 4 grams of this per day right now because we're just in the middle of cold and flu season. So I don't take this in the summer, but I do take it in the winter just to try to keep me healthy and functioning. So I'm just going to hold on to this and relax with it in the middle and see which way it takes me. Okay, this one is actually not taking me anywhere. I'm just kind of sitting here in the middle. I'm not falling forwards and I'm not falling backwards on it. So what that tells me, if I'm staying in the middle, is that I'm neutral on it. My body doesn't say yes or no, it's just neutral. So in that case, I would say then I'm probably on the right dose of this. I'm taking 4 grams a day, so that's probably about right. My body's kind of saying it's neutral. I would not add any more. At least my body's not indicating that it wants more. So I'll just probably stick with what I'm doing there. And I've got another one. I've got Toxin Absorb Max. I am chelating right now, and this is good for pulling out toxins once you're chelating. I'm not currently on this, so I just want to see if this one might be helpful to me. So I'm going to sit in the middle. And this one's definitely taking me in the backwards direction. So this one I should probably add to what I'm doing with my chelation. And to dose myself, I will open it up, and I'll start with just 2 pills. 2 pills here per day. I'll just put them in my hand. Sometimes I put it in a cap and put it in my hand, but I'll just put it in my hand. I got 2 pills per day. I'm going to sit in the middle and just relax with that. Okay, 2 pills per day taking me in the backwards direction. I'm gonna do in the cap now. I'm gonna do 3 pills per day. I'm not really going anywhere with 3 pills per day, at least not yet. So I take that as a weaker sign. So probably what I need to do is, probably what I would do is take 2 pills per day of the Toxin Absorb Max, just to help my body with the chelation that I'm doing right now. So with this self-test, it's easy for me to come up with a yes or a no answer. The difficulty comes in determining which solutions are stronger or more yes than others. I usually can narrow down the yeses, but then I often wait for another person to do the finger testing on the pile of yeses to determine which one is actually the strongest. When testing children or pets, I like to test on a surrogate. I find that children are not consistent and are too easily distracted from holding their fingers together. Surrogacy and muscle testing probably sounds very weird, but I have found in practice that it works quite well. My engineering brain rationalizes it like a transmission line. The surrogate is like the line, and what I see back at the source is the child or the pet at the end of the line. Just to make sure that I am testing the child or pet and not the surrogate, I often put a magnet on a piece of tape and tape it to the hand of the surrogate that touches the child or pet. I have seen some practitioners use magnets, copper bracelets, or no extra devices at all. I feel like I get the most consistent results using a small magnet. I have the child hold the solution, and then I muscle test on the surrogate. In the case of pets, I hold the solution up to the pet, and then I muscle test the surrogate. I have heard the complaint that muscle testing is unreliable or inconsistent. I have found that it takes some practice. My family has been doing it for a while, so we know what strong feels like for each other. In the beginning, it took us a few sessions to get comfortable and to get consistent results. My neighbor was successful testing the first time I needed her, and after a few sessions, she was quite good at it. My 7-year-old daughter is also now very good at muscle testing. I have several times compared her results with results from my husband, and they have always been the same. My conclusion is that you do not need magical skills to muscle test successfully, just an open mind and a bit of practice. I have also found that sometimes the body shifts quickly in reaction to some treatments. Only 24 hours later, someone may not be testing well on a particular supplement anymore. Other times, like in the case of an H. pylori infection that one of my children picked up at preschool, she was testing well on H. pylori herbs for about 3 months. It is also possible to find solutions that muscle test well, but that cover up the symptom instead of getting to the root cause of the problem. We spend a lot of time and money on cover-up solutions ourselves, so I know this path firsthand. My strategy is that I will often try something, and if in a certain period of time the problem is gone, then I try going off the remedy or solution. If the problem comes back, then I know I have either not found the root cause or I need to stay on the solution longer. Sometimes the solutions are what I call peel onion solutions. meaning they peel off layers of symptoms, for example, yeast overgrowth or dysbiotic bacteria in the GI tract. This may reveal other layers of problems, for example, nutrient deficiencies or even parasites. Sometimes I have to experiment a little bit or research various solutions and how long they typically take. I always keep looking, and the one thing I have learned is to never give up. The problems that I have thoroughly debugged and seem to have found root cause solutions for are listed on the website debugyourhealth.com. I have given as much detail as possible about what worked for us, what didn't work, and how long it took. I have often had to go through several iterations of cover-up solutions before I'm finally able to figure out the root cause of the problem. My strategy can be summarized as follows. I figure out the problem by finding the solution. So what kind of issues do I debug? As you can see from the wide list of topics on this site, almost anything and everything that comes our way. I have learned to be creative and adaptable. I have learned to be open-minded, since often neither the problem nor the solution was what I originally thought. I often use my muscle testing technique to test solutions from a practitioner against my own solutions. I use every resource possible to find the best, easiest, quickest, and most economical root cause solution.